in Miami, Norway, and Erling Haaland hoping to cause another upset after a good performance against Brazil, against England. I think this is, I mean, certainly when I saw the draw as an England fan, I was looking forward to a game against Brazil, testing ourselves against Jogo Bonito and Brazil. It's always a great chance to play against them. But actually, I'm intrigued by this matchup between England and Norway, because I think on paper you'd say, oh, well, England have got the better team, haven't they? But you're always worried about the stars for Norway, Haaland, Odegaard, and a few others. For me, it's a really interesting game on paper.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, and I think England fans would definitely welcome playing against Brazil, because it's not Jogo Bonito, it's Jogo Finito, because Brazil are done. They were poor. They deserve every single thing that came their way in that match against Norway. England has changed my mind coming into this match because of what they did at the Azteca. Adam, I'm going to be honest, we've known each other a while now. I did not have this in my bingo card, seeing the pride, the passion, the togetherness, the resilience, the character that was on display in a place where Mexico had never lost a match at a World Cup. And it's England, the Three Lions, who, as of late in the last, I don't know, say 3 or 4 tournaments, England is making a habit out of doing the impossible in lead-ups in the knockout rounds of major tournaments. Now, this is where it gets a bit tricky, though, is can you get a complete performance and bottle up all that resilience that we saw, not just out of your Harry Kanes and Jude Bellinghams, but getting the rest of the team to show the buy-in and the collective order that we saw in the final minutes. I thought so many players played with this self-belief and almost played like an England side that was willing to die for each other on the pitch in ways I've never seen in my lifetime.
The interesting as well, going into it, I think you can make that case for both teams. England doing what no one's ever done before at a World Cup, winning a game against Mexico at the Azteca, and Norway beating the great Brazil, the team that's won the most World Cups in history. So both teams will have been really given an extra edge, an extra bit of power by by both of those results. How do you think winning at the Azteca has helped these England players taking it forward into the Norway game?
I think just so many standout players in terms of doing the hard yards, right? And those are things that at major tournaments you have to do in order to earn the right to play. England earned the right to play. Looking at some of the performers, we'll get to Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham in a bit because they've been the stars of the show. But I look at players like Anthony Gordon, who you'll know from his time at Newcastle, unfortunate for Newcastle fans, maybe fortunate for them that he's going to Barcelona. He showed why he is going to Barcelona, because he grafted his ability to press, his ability to win second balls. And also special shout out to Jordan Pickford for having a standout game. I know a lot of people questioned his value and his worth to this national team. And sometimes he's one of those goalkeepers. He's a weird guy. He's a DJ, for crying out loud. Most DJs I know are weird people. But when it counts, he does have a knack for showing up in big games, and he's going to have to show up yet again against the big Norwegian in Erling Haaland.
I had an Aussie friend, and this is what he described, Jordan Pickford. He's got a few kangaroos loose in the top paddock, which I think is a great way to describe him. Screws loose, as we say back home in the UK. You mentioned Bellingham and Kane, both of them performing brilliantly there. I wanted to focus firstly on Bellingham, and I saw a great comparison talking about this is the closest England have had to a Zinedine Zidane in the team. Do you see likenesses between Zizou and the way that Bellingham goes about his football?
Yeah, when I look at Jude Bellingham, I definitely see that elegance, that grace, that willingness and that desire to say, hey, I will be the main man and I will be the main character of this story. Jude Bellingham is very misunderstood, and I think the English media and I think the English public is starting to finally understand that he is a big game player. It takes cojones to go into Real Madrid from Borussia Dortmund with the price tag he went into and lead the team forward in the way he did to be a Ballon d'Or candidate at the age he was to win the Champions League. Now we're seeing that Jude that we saw in that first season for Madrid, who played the game of his life in an England jersey. And at major tournaments, Adam, whether he's playing the best football of his career or whether it's about doing the things that define English football matches, he is the leader of this team for me, him and Harry Kane. I mean, the stats back it up. They've accounted for, what, 10 of the 11 goals that England have scored. But Jude Bellingham racking up man of the match after man of the match after man of the match performances. I mean, the numbers don't lie. This is a player in Jude Bellingham who, in my opinion, he will be future captain of England. And that's not far off, depending on how long Harry Kane still wants to play football.
Does this game boil down to the big stars? Is it a case of if Kane and Bellingham dominate, then England win, and if Haaland and maybe Odegaard, if you add that to him, or mainly Haaland dominate, then Norway win? Do you see it as linear as that?
No, I see that those are some of the individual matchups. I mean, Erling Haaland versus the two center backs, whoever Thomas Tuchel wants to put at that center back pairing. Mark Gahey, there's a lot of familiarity there between him and his Manchester City teammate, Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham. They're the most decisive tandem at this World Cup. But what makes these two sides special is I look at some of the supporting cast players. I mentioned Anthony Gordon. Elliot Anderson, I thought he was very solid. He's actually outshone Declan Rice at this World Cup. And Arsenal fans, you might hear that and think, well, Dex, he's been running to the ground a bit. But Elliot Anderson has been one of the linchpins of that midfield. And for Norway, they have a linchpin of their own. Martin Odegaard has been really good. It's good to see him showing that quality. But Patrick Berg has been the player who stood up tallest in that midfield as well. So a lot of individual matchups. I think it's going to be some of the things and the details that mark quarterfinal matchups. Set pieces tend to be the things. And for Norway, they're one of the biggest teams at this World Cup, Adam. So it's going to come down to some of the fine margins. This is going to be an outstanding game, and the details will decide who wins.
Do you think this Norway team have sort of shed the dark horse tag now, given the fact that they've beaten Brazil and they have looked very impressive in most of their games? Are they better than that?
Yeah, I think Norway are for real. Whenever you beat a big team, and it's unfortunate we didn't get to see them go toe-to-toe in that final group stage match against France. That would have been one of the group stage matches of the ages, because that really was the first litmus test. But I loved what I saw from them, and I'm a big believer that as a team, you are a reflection of those people that are in your country and the fans that support your national team. It's good to see the passion and the pride and the joy that we see from the Norwegian fans rowing their way out from the airports into places like the subway stations here in New York City, and finally through the finish line against Brazil. Norway truly have defied the odds, but we've seen flashes of this before. They've scored goals at will in qualification, but it's getting some of the performances they've gotten. I mean, at different points, you've had unsung heroes in this Norwegian team. I mentioned Patrick Berg. I want to give a big shout out to their goalkeeper, Ørjan Allen. He stood on his head, played the game of his life. So the thing I like about Norway is Erling Haaland is the finish line. He is the real Thor of this team. He's a Viking god, for crying out loud, with the number of goals he's scoring. But every single player plays their part, and they really seem like this collective unit that England have to be wary of. Because if you don't come to do things like play for second balls, go for 50-50s, win your duels, Norway will knock England out.
We're going to play Viking or Englishman here. You're the manager. You can only choose Harry Kane or Erling Haaland to lead your line. Who would you pick?
Look, I'm a big Erling Haaland fan, and to do what he's done at this World Cup, I think he's the first player since James Rodriguez to score in each of his first 4 matches at a World Cup. And James was insane for Colombia back in 2014. Harry Kane is on a mission right now. Harry Kane's got 73 goals at him in 1 full cycle for club and country. The only player that scored more goals is Lionel Messi. So that is something that you cannot touch. And I love that some people might say, well, Harry Kane scores the majority of his goals at times from the spot. It is so difficult. And I remember this as a former player. I've taken penalty kicks at the international level. It's hard enough at the club level. Harry Kane makes a penalty kick look like a pass into the bottom corner, but it's his all-around game. He's the sort of player that makes every single player on England that much better, and it's good to see the fact that he's taken this leadership role and become more vocal, but he's calm under pressure, and the fact that he's brought Jude Bellingham along with him, the likes of Anthony Gordon along with him, and the rest of the team, he's a bad, bad man.
So you're saying Kane?
Kane.
Kane all the way.